Outer Wilds is my favorite video game of all time. It has everything I love in stories: space travel, time loops, incredible music, mystery, intrigue, and above all, a feeling that I've never really felt in consuming any other piece of media before. I think the best games, or best stories in general, share something in common. They've nailed down a vibe, a mood, a style, and they abide by it so well that you can recognize the game in a heartbeat, whether it be from a sound, an image, or a song. Outer Wilds is beautiful because of how cosmically large a plot it takes on, yet how small and intimate the story is. It's a story of the universe, of birth, of death, and the rebirth of all things. But it's also just a story about a small village, some instruments, and an adventurous four-eyed alien. With that boring monologue out of the way, I wanted to make a mostly comprehensive recount of the lore and history of Outer Wilds, as a love letter to my favorite game of all time. Such incredible games like this are so rare, and it's worth taking the time to understand what makes them that way. To start off, I'm going to go over the DLC, Echoes of the Eye. If you haven't played the DLC, why haven't you? Go play the DLC. Go, right now, go. I'll wait. Did you play it? What, that wasn't enough time? Fine, skip to this timestamp instead. Are they gone? I think they're gone. The DLC is so cool, dude. I didn't think it would be possible to make another amazing story in the same solar system and still have it tie back to the main game in such a beautifully poetic way, but oh my god, did they do it. So before we get into the Nomai, the Hearthians, and the impending end of the universe, we first have to talk about the Stranger's inhabitants are a spacefaring alien species who the player learns about in the Echoes of the Eye DLC. They're owl, bird, antelope creature things. Furries? For the sake of this, I'll just call them the Strangers. When they noticed a bright blue light in the sky, the so-called Eye of the Universe, the Strangers found themselves fascinated by it. Having no way to reach such a distant celestial body, the Strangers deforested and destroyed their planet in order to get the resources for a massive spaceship, the Stranger, which would carry them to the Eye, leaving their home a barren wasteland devoid of the life that once thrived in it. Wait, is Outer Wilds a climate change allegory? Upon reaching and scanning the Eye, they saw visions of destruction on a mass scale which would ultimately end in the death of their people. Horrified by their discovery, they burned down the church to the Eye, along with any information on it. They also built a device, a second spacecraft, which would block the Eye's signal from any and all other species, in the hopes that nobody else would ever find it. With their home planet now desolate, the Strangers started to miss life before they left for the Eye. After some trial and error, they developed a technology that would allow them to enter a hyper-realistic simulation of their life before, or a dream, while they slept. Sounds kind of familiar? The simulation wasn't perfect, however. The Strangers had to carry lanterns with them everywhere they went, otherwise the program would blue screen and they'd have to restart their computer. No, actually, RTX just gets turned off. One of the Strangers, out of curiosity, or some cosmic drive they couldn't quite yet understand, woke up from the simulation one day and turned off the device blocking the Eye's signal. In that moment, for a very brief period of time, the Eye of the Universe sent out its signal once more to all of the creatures of the universe to see. An echo of the Eye, if you will. This definitely will not be extremely relevant and important later in the video. When the others realized what had happened, they immediately turned the device on again, blocking the Eye's signal forevermore, and arrested the Stranger who became known as the Prisoner. They locked them in a vault, then in another vault, then submerged the vault in the river. Jesus, guys, this is a bit extreme, don't you think? Anyway, back to our other friend. The dream, much like hallucinogenic drugs, was pretty addictive. The Strangers left the dream less and less until eventually their bodies died of old age, but their minds, still connected to the flame, stayed in the dream indefinitely. How strange. Get it? The Stranger? Get it? Strange? Do you get Do you get the joke? And so that's where the strangers stayed, in the dream of their long-lost home, while their real bodies rotted away in their ship, until the dam finally breaks from the stress of the ship moving away from the supernova, and the rising water levels extinguish their flames. I'm really starting to think this game is a climate change allegory. Anyway, that's most of the important stuff to do with the strangers. Nothing else about them was really relevant if I'm remembering correctly. Let me just look through my notes. Oh yeah, remember that brief signal the eye sent out after the prisoner turned off the device? Turns out it's super f***ing important. The Nomai were an advanced species of weird-looking goat alien scientists. Oh, they don't need the masks to breathe, they just have self-image issues. The Nomai traveled in clans, each clan owning a vessel, a warp-capable spaceship that kinda looked like a jellyfish. One of the clans, after picking up an intriguing signal from the eye of the universe, set off in a rush to discover more about it. While the signal didn't last long enough for them to pinpoint an exact location, they accidentally found themselves in a foreign solar system in the middle of Dark Bramble, the worst piece of shit planet ever. Oh, Dark Bramble, made of aptly dark brambles, ensnared the vessel in its vines and damaged its hull. In an emergency evacuation, the vessel sent out 3 escape pods. One landed on Ember Twin, one on Brittle Hollow, and one... well... The Nomai quickly settled into their new solar system. It consisted of Dark Bramble, a giant anglerfish-infested wormhole planet, don't ever go there. Then there was Giant's Deep, a large ocean planet with tornadoes which would launch islands into the stratosphere. Other than that, pretty nice vacation spot. Then there's the Quantum Moon. This one is complicated, so I'll come back to it later. There's Brittle Hollow, called that because it's brittle and it's hollow. It also has a black hole in its center. Then there's Hollow's Lantern, a moon of Brittle Hollow made of lava. Not such a nice vacation spot. Timberhearth, a woodland planet thriving with trees and rivers and mountains, is the definition of cottagecore. The Addle Rock, Timberhearth's moon, doesn't have much going on, except Esker, but nobody cares about Esker. And finally, the Hourglass Twins. These 2 planets revolve around each other, exchanging ash and sand between the 2 of them. Oh, like an hourglass. I only just put that together. The Nomai found themselves still fascinated by the eye. They made something of a religion out of it, growing more and more obsessed to find its exact location. After much ideation, they eventually had the idea of... The Ash Twin Project was a massive, system-wide project designed by the Nomai to find the exact location of the Eye of the Universe. The first step in the plan was to build a probe, one which would be launched out of a giant space cannon into the Eye. Construction started on Giant's Deep, where they would use tornadoes to lift components of the probe cannon up into orbit. The second step was a time loop. These guys were a bit unhinged. Their plan was to launch the probe millions of times in a random direction each time until it eventually found the Eye. Of course, this would take forever, so they had the idea to transmit the data the probe received back in time every 22 minutes, only for the probe to launch in a different direction, essentially creating an intentional time loop until they found the Eye, at which point they would end the time loop. And I thought Feldspar was crazy. Did I really write that into the fuck? To send data back in time, both the probe data and their memories, they carved memory statues on Giant's Deep. These statues would activate when a creature came within range of it, storing all their memories in the corresponding statue in Ash Twin, only to be sent back in time at the beginning of the next loop. The last step of the plan was the Ash Twin itself. The Nomai needed ore to build with, so they investigated a few mining sites on Timberhearth. While one of the mining sites proved to work very well for the ore that they needed, another one had some strange little blue creatures with 4 eyes. This won't be relevant later either. The Nomai carved out the interior of the Ash Twin as a place to store both probe data and their memories until the Eye was found. The very last step in the Ash Twin project plan was to power it. Obviously, their first thought was to blow up the sun. Okay, technically that wasn't their first idea, but blowing up the sun? The Nomai built a sun station to orbit around the sun. Their plan was to stimulate it into forcibly going supernova, which A sun can't give consent. Like, come on, guys, it's 2024. Anyway, after the sun went supernova, the Ashwin project will be powered, sending all data back in time before the sun exploded at the beginning of the loop. When they finally found the eye, they could simply shut down the sun station and thereby stop the sun from exploding again. So here's the plan in summary. 1. Probe cannon fires the probe in a random direction. 2. Sun station makes the sun go supernova. 3. Supernova powers the ash twin. 4. The ash twin sends probe data back in time, 22 minutes. 5. The probe fires again and 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 again until it eventually finds the eye. Step 6, the Nomai see that the eye has been found and they shut down the sun station. Step 7, go to the eye, have a party or something. I don't really know what their plan was after that. Anyway, flawless plan, right? Well, as the great French philosopher Albert Camus once said, no, the sun station just didn't have enough power to make the sun go supernova. Heartbroken, the Nomai went back to the drawing board. They theorized that they could wait for the sun to explode naturally. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Foreshadowing. But they would need a way to slow down their aging, as this would take thousands of years. The Nomai, in their search for the eye, found a new home. They made great cities, had children and schools, built a culture in a solar system which was previously desolate. While their plan didn't work, they still managed to thrive in relative happiness. That is, until the interloper arrived and exploded with deadly ghost matter, killing all of them instantaneously. This part is kind of sad, so I think I'll just move on. Fuck, I forgot about Solanum! Solanum was / is a Nomai who went on a quantum journey to the Eye. With how important the Eye of the Universe was to the Nomai, each of them was expected to go on a quantum journey, or a pilgrimage, if you will, to Mecca in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the sixth location in the quantum. That's so steep. The sixth location on the quantum moon. The quantum moon is a moon which teleports to different destinations when not being observed, like a quantum particle. The moon also reflects the physical aspects of the celestial body it's orbiting. So, while the Nomai couldn't get to the actual Eye of the Universe, the quantum moon's reflection of it was the closest they could be.
Mom, can we go to the Eye of the Universe?
No, sweetie, we have the Eye of the Universe at home. Solanum was on her quantum voyage when the interloper exploded, leaving her as the last of the surviving Nomai. Kind of. She was killed on the quantum moon in all of its other states, so she only exists in the sixth location and is therefore only like 1/6 alive. I don't know, man, quantum physics are complicated. But Solanum stayed in the sixth location, her people long gone, and her sense of time lost. That is, until she eventually met... So, remember those blue, four-eyed aliens that the Nomai met? Yeah, they evolved into these guys. Aw, they grow up so fast. The Hearthians founded a tiny village on Timber Hearth. 4 Hearthian astronauts, Hornfels, Slate, Feldspar, and
Gossan.
This one created a space exploration team called the Outer Wilds Ventures. Within this program, the Hearthians set out to explore their solar system, discovering all the old ruins of the Nomai and their people. They made a small museum where the protagonists saw the wonders of space and the Nomai as a child. They grew up to become an astronaut themselves, exploring the secrets of the Nomai and the stranger and coming to understand their stories and long-lost history. And they all lived happily ever after. Well, actually, no, because this is the part where the universe implodes. The universe turns Can we turn the music down? That's enough. They get the joke. Thank you, Jesus. The universe, turns out, is dying. This can be seen by the player as they look out into the night sky, where more and more stars are going supernova. The Hearthian solar system, along with the universe, has naturally reached the end of its life cycle. The sun explodes, finally jump-starting the Nomai's plan thousands of years after they had intended. This throws the protagonist, the probe, as well as Gabbro, for some reason, into a 22-minute time loop. Although they never got to see it, the Nomai's plan works flawlessly. The probe fires countless times until it eventually does find the eye, giving the protagonist the exact coordinates needed to get there. You probably know the story from here. The protagonist takes the core to the Ashman Project, shutting down the time loop, then takes it to the vessel, narrowly avoiding being some anglerfish's lunch, then takes the vessel to the eye of the universe. What happens when a consciousness? What happens when a conscious observer enters the eye? What happens when a conscious observer? Some crazy ass shit. That's what happens. The protagonist collects the instruments of the travelers they met along their journey. Rybek's banjo, Chert's drum, Gabriel's flute, Feldspart's harmonica, Solanum's piano plate thing, and Esker's... lips? He just whistles. I don't really know what you'd collect for him. Also, if you freed the prisoner in Echoes of the Eye, they join the band with their cello? With the combined power of your song, the smoke from the campfire creates a new universe in place of the old one which will flourish with life billions of years later. And there you have it, the history and lore of Outer Wilds summed up for you. What? Why are you still here? What, are you waiting for, like, a conclusion or something? You think I'd put that much effort into this? No, go away. The video's done. Fine, if you insist, I guess. I can't really put my finger on why Outer Wilds is so special to me. Maybe it's because it's got all the things I love in a good sci-fi story, or maybe it's because I played it in high school when I was kind of in a bad place, and it was nice to have something to myself. This little indie game that not many people knew about. The thing that struck me the most was the simplicity of the story. Yeah, it's a grandiose story about the universe and the cosmos and quantum physics, but it's also just an allegory for life. We're born, we die. That doesn't mean our lives didn't have meaning. It just made them all the more meaningful. We create things that will live longer than we'll ever get to see. We plant trees that will outlive us. We make art which will still exist long after we're gone. I think that's what makes this game so beautiful. It inspired me to make my own games, write my own stories, and make things that would outlive me, so I can leave a small mark on the universe before I go and say, yeah, I was here. It's that fleeting nature of this game that makes it such an incredible story. The universe itself is fleeting, like a metaphor for life and death, even the environment of our planet. Wait, our planet? Outer Wilds is a climate change allegory. That's right, this whole thing was just an elaborate ruse. This video is actually an introduction to a 4-hour video essay on environmentalism. You thought it was about lore and history? No! This is the twist none of you were expecting. Buckle up and strap in, everybody, because we're about to talk about the global impacts of deforestation and... Oh. What happened? I think the universe is dying. Wow. Guess I don't have time for the essay then. You never have as much time as you think. But that's what makes it more meaningful, I guess. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next universe.